Okay, today we'll be talking about how to make a square or triangle or hexagon out of the same base shape, and in this instance it's a circle. So what I've got here on the table, and I've got some already made pieces in the background, but I'm out to the side edge now where I need to now decide how many corners I'm going to put in. So if I'm going to make it a square, I can assume that they're going to be the corners, and then I'll just count up how many circles I've got in between each corner and make sure they're equal distance apart, and those ones there will be my corners for the square. If I wanted to make a triangle, similarly we'll make it count up how many loops you've got around the edge, divide that by the 3 sides, and then we can have as a triangle. So obviously one might be there, then the next one will be out there, and we need to count up again how many loops are between each of the nominated corner pieces so that it's equal around all sides. And then to become the triangle, it will then be like that. So there's our corners that I've put in that you can see. So I put my hand in underneath, so there's a corner piece, and we've done the shaping along each edge to then it becomes a triangle. And on this one here, move that out of the way, I've put in now 6 corners. So that one has now become a hexagon. So the original pattern I had for this is some nearly 40 years old pattern for a baby rug, which this time I've done in 8-ply. Previously it was a 4-ply pattern back in the day of it being square. So that one looks a bit wonky corners. Let's look at another one that's fully square. So here we've got same middle piece out, and then it's got the 4 corners for the square, and then you do the edging in around and it becomes a nice square shape. Same as on this one I just showed you a minute ago, same colour. We'll just lay this over the top so that you can see they're all starting out to the same edge and then progress from there. And then the same here, we'll just get back up here to the triangle one, and again how we move to make the corners equal distance apart, and then it's the edging and the shaping. So all of these that I just showed you all started with the same circle bit, same pattern out to this side, and then shaping for the corner. And what I have currently on the go here is several hexagons, all out to needing the same bit. To the last one now I've started to put black around. I need to do a couple more rows of black to edge that one out, so that it becomes then the work in progress when they're all laid out like this. This one won't be a baby rug, of course. This one will be another version of this one here on the mannequin, and that was obviously a different colour. Got that one, and the triangles back here done in that colour. There's another way also of making triangles out of starting with the same basic one, and we'll look at that on this one here hidden underneath. This one here has the squares with the bobbles done as a highlight row on a darker black background, and this time what we do see is the triangle shape and a semicircle of bobbles. So rather than doing a triangle shape like this time the triangle shape's gone that, and that's only because I've started with a different amount of stitches. This one I've done the full pattern, this one I've only done half, so I could do semicircles around backwards and forwards on semicircles and just put the 3 corners in it that way. So there are options of how you put things together and how they will work out, all starting from the same basic pattern. So if you find a basic pattern that you like and it's a triangle or a circle or a square, and you want to make it one of the others, go out as far as you can to the row before you start the shaping. Work out the number of loops you have around there, divide it by the side of whether you want it to be a square, for instance. If you want to make it the hexagon, and what I found sometimes if you don't have a blocking pin is sometimes I just use a bit of sticky tape that on the corner to hold it still, and then on this one here I know we've got the corners are there, they're 1, 2, 3 loops apart, so 1, 2, 3 loops apart, and then in the 4th loop just put a bit of sticky tape. That's just to hold it on the table so that I can then come back and put my stitch markers in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one, and then so that starts now to take shape on the table. I don't have stitch markers with me today to be able to show how to put the stitch markers in, but then it sits neater if I've got it taped down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go for that one, and then the next one should be about there. So that's if we want it to be a hexagon. If I don't, and I want it to be a triangle, just get these bits of sticky tape out of the way. Take it off again. It's probably easier to working with sticky tape here at the moment. I don't have to try and juggle stitch markers. So, okay, here we got the loops are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apart. So we have them there that I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in number 7 we put that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in number 7 we put that. Oops, it's come undone, but you get the general idea. So it becomes then, stick to the table please, it becomes then your triangle arrangement. So how do we make corners in the work so that we can make it? What we do, come here some fun. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting a corner in. Currently it's still a circle. So what I'll have here, I've started with 3 chain, and then I'm going to do 2 treble in that one. Then the next one, I'll do 3 treble. 1, 2, 3, and again in the next one, 2, 3, and then in the next one. 1, 2, 3. In the next one will be a corner, so this one will be 1, 2, 3. Then get some more yarn. Then it'll be 2 chain for the corner, and then back into the same loop for 1, 2, 3, and then start down the next side with 3 treble. 1, 2, 3, going into the first loop there. So I'll just pause for a minute, and then I'll get one of these I've already done, put that there, so then if I lay this over the top, you can see that the corners are starting to line up with their buddies on that side. So it's starting to take shape, and then the next corners will be here and here. So again, similar thing, if it was going to be a square or a triangle, you do the putting the corners in, and then on the next successive rounds outwards, you just increase by going 2 stitches into the corner into each time, and then that just increases it out normally. So on those ones we work then 3 rows of colour out, and then I'm going to end up with 2 rows of black, but I ran out of black there, so I need to get some more. 2 rows around in black, and then that will give us the full piece for this size that I'm currently making. But you can make them any size you want, of course, and we'll get back to that in a minute or two. So when I've made the 2 rounds of black going around, I've then joined them together, so there'll be a central piece and then 6 around, so 1 on each side, to then become the bigger piece, which we have here on the mannequin already. And I'll just carefully move mannequin out of the way, and then you'll see on the back, go back in the corner, how it then drapes over the back. I've got the collar folded over. There's nothing in that other than I've just, as you put it on the mannequin, you just fold it back over itself. So that's 7 hexagons around. So 6 around the central one to make 7, all of the same pattern, all of the same design, and then I've edged it in a similar bobbles pattern. So I'll just stand her back in the corner out of the way, and then without knocking things over, and then we've just pinned it at the front with a shawl pin. It's as easy as that. Now there are others if you make the hexagon a lot bigger, which you need if you're going to make one of those hexagon cardigans that are all the popular at the moment. So again, you can pick your pattern, make it into, if it's a square shape, make it into a hexagon by just changing the amount of corners. So if it's an easier pattern like this, where you can change the amount of corners in it when you're so far through the pattern, some patterns you need to start right from the middle and change it into being from a square to a hexagon, which is what I've done with this one here. And I'll just... Now if you went to the Craft Alive show at Hawkesbury recently, you would have seen this one on the mannequin. Now the pattern itself starts as a square. It's a very heavily pattern. It's not one of mine, it's on Ravelry, and it started life as a baby rug. So of course I've changed it. I've then out to this far where you then put the corners in here. I've now also done 2 that I've made as hexagons, but this one I had to start the change right in the middle stitch, which meant then I had to manipulate how many repeats were around. So if I fold that over, then I can show you here on the side it has 6 corners in it now, and if I turn the mannequin, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners, and you need the 6 corners to then fold it in half to become the front and sleeve of your coat. And that looks quite nice. So any type of pattern, I think if you're clever enough to change, make a few changes here and there, manipulate the work a little bit so that you've got it coming out. It doesn't always work on the first go of anything. Sometimes it does take a bit more experience or a bit more patience to get something to work out the way you want it. But then, and I've managed, instead of doing the normal hexagon thing, jacket where you just sew it down the middle, I put the backing in it so that those of us that are at a slightly bigger than everyone else can still wear something that fits. So if you go back to the hexagons that we're currently making, what I've also found doing the shapes as well is that the lacier the pattern and the bigger the needle you use, the less defined the shape will be. So if we go back to this one here on the mannequin, it's very tight stitches, it's very tight tension, there's a lot of work in it, and it forced itself into the bent shape more easily than this one, where you've got leeway with the looping of the stitches, and the bigger needle I'm using has actually absorbed where you need to fold it. But still, it can be done, and the bit more work or a tighter tension would make that work. Okay, so we have the hexagonal now waiting to be folded into where we can put sleeves. So we do that. Because of the lacy pattern there, it's not giving a full turn on there, and it needs a few more rows out here to force it to change. So what I've got here, where I've partially already done it, so there's the hexagon with some more, that's the front of it, that's the back, with the extra 2 more rows of black on it. And then what we do is fold this corner to that corner. That's your sleeve. You put your hand out here, that goes across the top of your back, and this goes down the front for the cardigan. You can see how it's still not quite, it's still like you've got your arms in the air on that one, but that's a general idea. And when the hexagon's made a lot bigger to fit an adult, it will, after a bit, sort itself out there. But what I have here is where I've already started to join 2 together, 2 hexagons together. So there's one still folded out. The other, that will be the part down your spine, down the back of the cardigan. And what I've done here, and I've trimmed it in purple so we can all see what we're doing. I folded the other one in half, same as that. So now they're both the same. There's your sleeve hole, you put your hands in there. That goes across the top, and then eventually it'll seam it right across the top. There, you can put buttons down here, and there you have a hexagon cardigan. It's not quite, you know, full right angled on the corners, but that won't matter. Like I say, when I'm going to pull this apart later and make it actually bigger to make it have that effect happen. But what I have here, where are we? Is we have that effect here now on a plain one. So with the multicolour one, it was probably too hard to see what was happening. So I've done a plain circle. And yes, it doesn't sit flat. It's meant to not sit flat. Now, because this is a solid stitching around, whereas the earlier one has the lace work, it's forcing it to become not flat. Now, you're not going to block it. Don't block it, because you don't want it to sit flat. If it sits flat, it'll be like this one, where you have to force it to do as you want it to do. So what we're doing with this one now is we'll fold it in half. And now it sits flat, but it gives you that cornering. So this is still, obviously, it's still a circle. What I did with this one on the green row is I've put corners in. So I've done it in the contrast colour so we can see now there's a corner there and a corner there. There's 6 sides and 6 corners around. And then what I've done, folded it in half like this one, and I've put a string there on this corner so I could work it out, because for some reason it just wasn't gelling in my head this afternoon where the corners were. There's one corner, and I've stitched along both sides to the other corner. I double crochet things together because sometimes that effect is a lot nicer than hand sewing them. So that's that one. So how did I work out where to put the corners? Well, that's a tricky bit and not a tricky bit at the same time. So I know there's 108 stitches around the edge because I've counted them. So 108 stitches tells me I need to have corners every 18 stitches. So there's a corner, then there's 18 stitches, and then there's another corner. And we do that all the way around. So where's my green? Do it in green so we can see what we're doing. There's the end hiding. So just join that in there without losing the loop. I'll just do plain old knot, it gets it on there. You do need to knot your yarn together when you're changing colours. Can't just join a colour in and not actually attach it to something. So good hard knot on there. Pull both threads through again as well, just to doubly sure on it. You go in there. Oops, don't use the wrong one. Use that one. Okay, and I like to just give it a little double crochet to start the stitch off. The knot will get in the way. Don't worry about it because you pull it backwards out of the way after it. So we've got the double crochet plus 2. Then we do another chain. So that's now your two trebles in that stitch. 2 chain, 2 more treble into there, and then it is 1 into each of the next 18. 1 treble, 1, 2, 3. So I'll go out to the first corner, and then other than you're sitting there watching me crochet, we will do that next bit off camera and then come back on again when I've got it around to showing how to then fold and stitch. So we'll go out to the first corner, so it's 18 stitches plus corners. Now I know when you divide, because you want 6 sides, so divide 6 into the 108 stitches that you have. We'll give you a different number. It would only tell you 18 stitches. If you only do 17 stitches plus the corner, which is equals your 18 stitches, you're going to have stitches left over that are not used. So it's 18 stitches plus corners, which is effectively 19 stitches. It doesn't work out for the maths. If somebody's going to say, oh, the maths is wrong, it doesn't always work out to whatever the calculator says. So what you do is do your best efforts on it. Sometimes you'll be a stitch this way or that. Won't really matter in the grand scheme of things as long as each side is the same. So there's the corner, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 18. Right. And now I'll do the corner. So 2 treble, 2 chain, 2 treble. Alright. So I'll leave that there and I'll come back when I've done all the way around. Okay, so now I'm just about finished that round of putting the green square edge on. So we'll just get back to the start and join it with a slip stitch in there. Now slip stitch into the corner. I'll give it 2 and just a chain to hold it. So that's my corner. So if I put it with this one, where the string is, so put that there like that with that one. Then we fold, come on and fold, and there we have corner is lining up like that. They're both going in the same direction. That's fine because when I'll stitch it that way, but I can't crochet backwards. So we'll get wherever it's got to in there. Come on. Now I'll fold it again so we can see. So it's still sitting upwards like a little ballerina skirt. Don't worry about that. And we're going to just pick that corner and that corner up, fold it over so that that corner and that corner go together. Give it a little bit of a shakedown, and then with those fingers hold those 2 corners together, and there's your it flattens out, and there we go. So another sleeve hole there. This gets stitched across the top, so we'll do that now. I can find where that cord's gone again. There we go. Get that purple one out of the way. And then through the loop of the corner, and then just 2 double crochets in there because it's a corner, and then into the top of the stitch of that one and into the top of the stitch of that one. Bring them together with a double crochet and then do that all the way along. Into there, that one and that one. I generally go through the 2 at the same time rather than one then one, but it's easier for the camera to see me go into that one, then into his buddy on the other side, and then just straight across. We'll get to the other sleeve hole and then I'll turn it onto the table so that it looks like a little cardigan. It does take a bit of tedium and a bit more thread. Okay. Of course, when you're making them adult size, it's going to be bigger hexagons than what we currently have, but for the demonstration for the camera, we just need to have little projects. Otherwise it'd be utmost boring watching me crochet a side together. I like to do the double crochet on the outside. It makes a feature of it rather than having it on the inside where you don't see it at all, but you see the underside of the stitching on the outside, and I think that makes a feature of the underside rather than the correct side. Okay, so we're at the corner. Do 2 double crochets into the corner space, and there's the scissors under there. Let's cut that one off and pull it through so it's knotted. So now we have 2 sleeves facing the same way. What we'll do now with this one is then just turn it over. So you've got the 2 sleeves, one going that way and one going that way, and now we need to join the back to the thing, which is basically the same as what I've just done to join those together. You don't really need to see me sit here doing that, and then you can have it like that, or like on the other one we showed you earlier where I also then did a square and I joined the square in, so those actually sit probably more so that way. The square comes in here, and that's how we just manipulated circles to become squares, to become hexagons, or in the earlier piece we showed how they were triangles. And so if you find any pattern that you like and you want to make it into the hexi cardigan, which is or hexi jacket, which is the thing at the moment, and you don't want just a plain one, you can pick a different pattern that you do like, something lacy like this, but you do have to argue it a bit more into shape, especially here. But when it becomes bigger, which I'm not going to do with this because it's for another project, and you've got your sleeves at the size that you want, it will settle down after a bit. But where this one has the constraints of the stitches forcing it into this shape, this one here has the lace work that absorbs that discrepancy, so it actually goes counter to what you want, but it does look a nice effective one when it's finished.